Oh, hey guys, how's it going? So, as usual fashion, I never finish anything that I start, hence, sorry I missed last week. I know some of you guys actually like these videos, and some of you guys could care less, or couldn't care less, rather. But getting down to it, week 4, in the record books now, it was an interesting week for football, kind of a lot better, I think, for a lot of teams than last week. I think a lot of people were disappointed with their star performers, how they did last week. But anyways, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Week 4, a couple interesting fantasy matchups. What was most interesting, I thought, going into this week, which I didn't cover, obviously, in last week's video, which didn't happen. For the first time in my fantasy history, there was 7 teams at 1 and 2, which is a ridiculous performance, and really just not going to happen very often. 7 teams at 1 and 2. There was 2 teams at 0 and 3, or maybe there was just one team at 2 and 1, and then 3 unbeaten teams. So going into this week, there was a lot to look forward to in that. Jumping into it, between my matchup against James was very disheartening. Unfortunately, I had a good week out of a lot of my players, but not really just quite enough. And going up against James on the week that I felt like I was going to bounce back, and I did bounce back a decent amount, but he was just the last person I wanted to play. He put up almost 300 points against me, won by about 35. James actually came over, and him and I watched the Monday night game together as Drew Brees threw all over my team and slaughtered my fantasy team, which was disheartening. Good job, James. You suck. James goes to 4-0. Hans Schaub, Paul Marinoni against John Manilay's Football Giants. That was maybe the biggest win we'll ever see in this season. Quite probably. He won by over 225 points. Good God, John, your team sucks. I don't know how I gave up a win to you. That was some horse shit. It was the route for 150 last week between you and I. Enjoy your one win. That may be the last one you get if you keep up this way. Between Brad and William. Good job, William. William had kind of a tough week, I know, in his personal life. He neglected to start a quarterback, and also one of his players was injured going into his game. So William put up a paltry 146 and still managed to beat John at 125. If they had been playing together, William, you would have got a win, even without a quarterback and a wide receiver. But he did end up losing to Brad, the Hamburglers, 253 to 146, about a 100-point difference. It's kind of a rout. I don't know. It's what you would expect from a team that doesn't start 2 players. Kit Dockery manages to beat Max, which I'm particularly excited about anytime Max loses. Honestly, I'd be excited if they both lost, but it couldn't happen, unfortunately. Kit pulls out a win with Peyton Manning being a fucking all-star like he usually is. Kit wins 300-243. Keys Crushers against the Raccoonicorns. Dennis finally takes a loss. He loses 256 to 207. His Reeve just had a good week out of a lot of his players. He put up 256 and took the win. So they are tied now at 3-1. And then lastly we have Eric Hopkins against Art. And Art, at this point, remains the only winless team. Suck it, Art. Even in your league, when I was winless going into week 4, I still managed to pull out a win. So I have no winless teams anymore. You can't say the same. That's too bad. Art loses to Eric, 338 to 217. It was quite a rout. But anyways, I think some of the more interesting things, we want to go to the standings and actually touch on this on a week-to-week basis. So after 4 weeks, we have 2 teams that are still unbeaten, and that's Eric and James, and they can both suck a dick and die. We have 2 teams at 3-1, Dennis and Reeve, the Raccoonicorns. We have still now 3 teams at 2-2, Brad, Dennis, and Paul. We have 4 teams at 1-3, including myself and Max, William, and John, and then 1 winless team, Art Collins, pulling up the ranks. In usual fashion, it's not surprising that the 2 teams that are 4-0 have the most points for. That's what you would expect. The worst teams in the league obviously have the worst points for. Now, where it gets interesting is the points against. What you would usually expect, and this is what always kind of confuses me. It always seems like the people who have the most points for and the best record always seem to have the least points against, which is the case here in this league, still through 4 weeks. It just happens to be luck. That's fantasy football. You score the most points and you get the least amount of points scored against you. But that's how it goes. So I'm interested to see how the next couple weeks go. I know there's been some trades being thrown around. I was involved in a trade myself this week, and some other stuff I think is brewing. But interesting week. I was talking to James yesterday, and this involves the whole league, so I'm going to bring it up here. I was talking to James yesterday. We kind of wanted to touch up on the scoring of the kickers.
Oh, hey, bro.
Fuck off, kid.
Hey,
wanted
bros.
to touch up on the scoring of the kickers.
Suck it, Max.
James thinks that kickers
Hi, bro.
score too much. It's too random, and I kind of tend to agree that the kicker can score 16 points on a 50-yarder, which is 6 more than any touchdown is worth. So that obviously wouldn't be something that we would implement until next season, but if you guys have an opinion, I'm going to form a topic, and please state your opinion on the message boards. I'll put there what I want to move the scoring to next season, but that's in regards to kickers only. But anyways, exciting week 5 coming up. A lot more teams are on bye, so check your bye weeks. Check your injured players. Hit the waivers. Do what you normally got to do. Best of luck to you all next week, except for James and except for Eric.